And Dominic, I teased at the very beginning that we've been saying 22 time, and then recently it's 23, and then I never came back to that 23rd award. Do you mind sharing with everybody what that one was all about?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that question, right? Because you kind of was talking earlier about tier one and tier two awards, this, that, and the other, as far as subjective prestige. So this was an award I won from Paula, who for Talk Shit with P, and her show, because her show we ironically enough, we did a show about awards. And it did really well on Good Pods, like her one of the number one shows or something like that.
Yeah, I
For
think it's
Good
her
Pods.
number one most listened to episode.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you, Mark. And so she thought I was deemed worthy to get an award for that. And I appreciate that award the same I appreciate a Webby or a Signal or a W3 or a communicator, because somebody thought enough of me to give that to me, right? And so why wouldn't I put it in the count? And so that's where that award comes from. And I think that also speaks to something else. There's also other type of awards and awards programs that are not just like, Signals or Webbies, but some of them are local, right? Some of them are local competitions, right? And again, if you win those, that's an award-winning podcast in itself. So just because it's not part of some national brand or whatever doesn't mean it's not something that you can leverage for your podcast, for sponsorships, and this and the other, because it's still an award-winning show. It has a different context based on the market value place of like how people view a Webby versus a communicator or whatever. But it's still an award-winning show. And to Michonne's question earlier, it could be an entry point into this world, into this process. So, and I'm all about transitioning into things as opposed to just jumping into them. But that's a matter of preference than a matter of, do this or don't do this. So,
Yeah, and I think it was what a great idea that Paula did that too. I want to highlight that because it that kind of award, some of you may think, well, okay, whatever, it's a podcast that's giving an award because that particular episode did really well. Well, that's a big deal. And as the recipient, whether you're Dominic or whether you've never won an award until then, it's an award that holds clout and credibility. It's something that you can actually lean on as part of your pitch, whether it's to be a guest, whether it's to negotiate with a sponsor or a brand, because that's something to consider. This is a person who generates downloads, who brings an audience or brings a topic of interest for an audience.
absolutely. And we were able to have an award ceremony at Waffle House. It was amazing. It was awesome. I gave a speech and the whole thing, and they even played the music to like tell me to wrap it up because they told me I had 10 seconds, right? So no, it was a whole thing. But I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that moment. It's one of the most fun award experiences I'll ever have, hands down.
Yeah, and those listening live, you probably see I have put that link to that award ceremony here on Clubhouse, and it's also in the show notes as well if you want to watch that moment. It was a really sweet and funny moment for sure. I enjoyed it.